Hello and welcome to another edition of Senior Soundings. I'm your host, Gerry LePage, and we're delighted to have you along with us today. It's Pride Month, so we are celebrating in this episode the accomplishments of PFLAG Greater Providence. And my guests to help us understand what PFLAG is all about are Sandy and Ron Richard. Both Sandy and Ron are PFLAG Greater Providence board members. Ron is the current president. Sandy is a former chapter president and current media coordinator for the Greater Providence chapter. Sandy is also a past volunteer Northeast Regional Coordinator for PFLAG National that provided assistance to the New England PFLAG chapters. And we just want to make a note in passing as well that Myra Shays, who is the actual founder of PFLAG Greater Providence, passed away not long ago, and so this program is dedicated in her memory. All right, well, Ron and Sandy, thank you for joining me on Senior Soundings.
Thank you for having us.
Well, you're very welcome. And we have a wide audience with a lot of interest in your topic. So, Ron, tell our viewers, what is PFLAG and what is its purpose and function?
Well, thank you for asking. But before I answer the question, I'd like to recognize Myra Shays for a moment. Being our founder, she worked so hard to establish PFLAG Greater Providence and was instrumental in terms of the support of the LGBTQ community. Without her, we wouldn't be here today. PFLAG probably wouldn't be in Rhode Island today. And she worked tirelessly for the number of years of being our leader. And really, a lot of shoes to fill from that standpoint. I don't know if you want to add anything.
She was also the editor for many years for Options magazine,
right?
Up until she could no longer, do the work anymore, and helped out with other different LGBTQ type organizations throughout her life, and served our chapter for 15 years as its leader. So before handing the baton over to other board members. So yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah. As far as PFLAG, the concept of PFLAG started back in 1972 when a woman decided to march in the Pride Parade.
It was actually the Christopher Street Parade, the precursor to the Pride Parade in New York City. Jean Manford marched with her son Morty, who was gay, and she was tired of having him being harassed by the police and other people, as well as his friends, and decided to march with him with a sign that said, parents, help support your gay, actually I think it was maybe gay children or gay sons, and eventually evolved into the organization that it is today. It had several iterations before becoming what it is today. Yeah. And pretty much, I would say 99% volunteer-led. The headquarters in Washington, D.C. has paid staff. Everywhere else, except for some maybe large metropolitan areas, everybody is volunteer.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
PFLAG originally stood for Parents, Friends of Lesbian and Gays. The tent has gotten much bigger since then. So PFLAG supports all of the members of the LGBTQ community. And the purpose of it is to support and the community and their allies in a number of ways. We do it through support meetings that we run several times a month. They're all peer support meetings. There's no professional advice given in terms of that's concerned. People come to these meetings because they have concerns, questions. Their loved one might have just come out and they really don't know seriously what to do in terms of how best can I support them. So they may come to the meeting and it's an open session in terms of there's no agenda. So they may have a question about something and we're able to share our experiences with them in terms of helping somebody navigate a particular journey.
Yeah, we provide resources that we have, that we've discovered along the way. Sometimes it's questions about therapists or hospitals or where they can go, and people may not be necessarily as familiar, or other organizations that provide support like Youth Pride, or SAGE for the older group. Actually, it's Pride and Aging now,
Right.
no longer SAGE. So we're there, we're moms, we're dads, we're allies and members of the community that are just there to support one another. And we give different perspectives, especially if we have members of the community there as well. And we're 18+ organization, so we don't serve children who come in. We refer them to Youth Pride. But we're able to just share our, like Ron said, our own stories and offer support, because people will come in, they love their kids and they want to support them, but they also have their own fears, and they don't want to let their children know what they're feeling, but they need an outlet, a place to share that. And that's where they can come to us and they feel at home, really, that where they can talk to us, there's no judgment, and we get it. That's the thing. They can't share that information necessarily with other family members or relatives, or maybe their co-workers, because they don't get it, and sometimes they get pushback from those people. So they can come here and they can be open and be comfortable in telling us what their fears and hopes are. So that's what we're there for.
Yeah. The beauty of it is that it's a judgment-free zone. It's so what is said stays there, but people can say however they feel, and there's, like I said, there's no judgment on it. So there's and when somebody comes in, there's that fear of, like, how do I relate to this group? And so we try to be as open and friendly as possible. The interesting thing, what happens in our in-person meetings, is that they will meet somebody in the meetings that they identify with, or that person identifies with what they're going through. And in doing what happens is that after our meetings are over, the beauty of it is this connection that they've made within that time frame, it extends into the parking lot after the meeting, and conversations take place long after everybody has left, because there's been a connection made. And it's been very comforting to see that happening as long as we've been with PFLAG. And it's been a very, very good way for people to connect with somebody that is going through something similar to what they are going through. We also do it by means of Zoom. We have a Zoom meeting once a month, the first Wednesday of the month. That allows us to connect to a broader community, because not everybody can get to our in-person meetings because time and distance. Right. So that allows us to connect with a lot more people throughout the state, and actually throughout the country, who may decide to join us. Right. Right.
The one good thing about these meetings, also either type, is that people realize they're not alone. Because initially they sometimes they feel like they're the only ones who are going through the struggles that they have, and they realize no, they're not. And there are a lot of, even though everybody's journeys are different, including the loved one and the family members' journeys are also different. They're at different stages, but amongst the group, but there's similarities, so that you know that you're just not alone, and people understand what you're going through.
It reminds me, thinking way back in time, from the days not long after I had graduated from high school. A close high school friend of mine came out to me. He had been at university in Washington, D.C. for a couple of semesters. And, that summer when he came home, we were getting together, and he came out to me. And in so doing, he said, my godfather, my favorite uncle, this is someone who's very important to me. I'm so worried about how he's going to respond to this, because he's very overtly, anti-gay, and he makes remarks and that kind of thing. And I'm just worried about, what is he going to think of me? How am I going to be able to get him to accept me? So is this the kind of issue that PFLAG is providing support for? And so in the course of a meeting, someone might just say, well, this is what I would say, or I had a similar situation and this is what I said. And sometimes just those few words, the way it's verbalized, it strikes a chord with the listener who can say, that's perfect for how to approach my uncle.
We see that often where somebody will come in and relate their story, and somebody within the group is going, I know exactly how you feel because that's where I was several months ago, thereabouts, or a year ago somewhere. And it's fairly comforting for that new person who's attending to realize that there's a connection there, because they go into these support meetings not knowing what the environment's going to be like, and they find it very comforting. Not that we can solve everybody's problems. We refer to a lot of situations where, especially within the trans community, where that trans loved one is on a journey, and so are their allies or their family members. They're on a journey, and they're not always on the same pace, but in terms of just identifying, the questions that they may have, has been very helpful from a support standpoint.
We've also had situations where where the child who has come out to one parent, but not the other, or maybe not to the grandparents, and the parents say, what we say is they have to go back in the closet for a while because they can't tell anybody, because it's up to the person who's come out to make, to control the information, who's being told what. So there's some discussions often about how do you navigate that. And it's not easy, and it's different for everybody, but depending on the situation. Sometimes you have parents who are divorced, and so the one side of the family knows, but the other side doesn't, and is not supportive either. So those are the kinds of things that will get discussed in meetings.
Besides the support meetings, we also do an educational track, and then that is that. For example, today, being on this program, to get our word out as to what we do and the impact we hope to have on people. But there are a lot of events, especially in Pride Month, where communities will have a Pride event to celebrate the LGBTQ community there. And what we have is informational tabling. So we will have a booth set up, and we'll have literature available. And it's all properly vetted through our national organization. And this information is there for the taking. And it's either for somebody who is part of the community and or an ally. Very often we'll get educators coming to our tables, and they need some information to bring to their school, social workers and whatnot. And so they'll gather up our literature, and that will help them support any of the students within that they're involved with, or we may get a member of the LGBTQ community that they've got a loved one, a grandmother, a grandfather, a parent that's not quite getting it or accepting. So we do have a lot of information that's directed to those types of individuals, and or just supporting the community itself. So you'll see us all over the state during the month of June. The biggest Pride event is Providence, which is on the 21st of June. A couple of years ago, there was 100,000 people that came to that event. And it's a great event. And what's so great about these is that they're fun, they're exciting, and the community can kind of come together in a very impactful and a celebratory way. Newport has another big event, and that's on the 28th of
the week after.
It's the last Saturday of June. I think it's the 28th. And that's another big event. But what's interesting that's happened within the state is that when COVID hit, a lot of, Providence kind of played down their Pride event because of COVID. And communities decided that, members of the communities decided they wanted to do something. So individual pride events started popping up in all the different towns within the state. From Woonsocket to Westerly, North Kingston, South Kingston, well, outside of the state is Seekonk and Fall River. They've all started to have their own pride events.
And even Little Compton.
Little Compton,
yes.
Tiny, remote Little Compton,
Compton
has a pride event.
And so this was a way that they decided to, again, the members of their community, they wanted to celebrate within their own town or city or town. And these popped up, like I said, after Pride event, after COVID. And they've grown. Every year they've gotten bigger and bigger. So we've been invited to these. So our month of June are filled with tabling events from one part of the state to the other, which is really exciting because we get to send out a message and interact and meet and have a very good time with people within the community. And we do it from an educational standpoint, so that our literature is out there for anybody for the taking. And we've also been involved in the higher educational universities, URI, Salve Regina, for example. We were at Central Falls,
Which?
Yeah, just the other day.
School? Oh, the Providence Public School Department?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, their
We were at
Career
Central
and
High
Technical
School is what it
Academy,
was.
yeah, Central
Thank
High
you.
School.
Yeah, and we were there. They had a wellness event a couple of days
Huge.
ago.
Yeah.
And we were invited there. So anytime we are jokingly, if you invite us, we'll show up.
There you go.
And
Don't even
it's,
need to bring food? That's
no, it's,
no.
no one's invited us to a picnic yet, but it's we actively want to do this so that, again, we can get our support out there for anybody that makes it available. The last leg is advocacy, and we've been involved with various bills, laws and whatnot that the State House may come up with. The biggest one was the
Marriage equality.
Marriage equality, yeah. You want to speak to that a bit?
Well, we testified for marriage equality at a very, very long hearing when they did that. It went into the wee hours of the morning, but we testified in support of marriage equality. We testified in support of the ban on conversion therapy, and then you were involved in presenting testimony on the reinstatement of benefits for veterans who were dishonorably discharged because of their sexuality or gender ID. And these veterans went all the way back to World War II. So in Rhode Island, they can't do anything at the federal level, but for veterans in the state of Rhode Island who had that discharge, they got their benefits reinstated and listed as an honorable discharge.
Good. Good. That's big.
Yeah, that's really big.
That was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Most recently, we prepared testimony that we sent in on the Freedom to Read Act, and there might have been some other things. But whenever we hear of something, we try to get, we don't always hear in time, but when we get the information, we'll prepare testimony. If we can't be there in person, we can submit it, electronically. So we try to stay on top of any legislation within the state that impacts the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. Outside of that, attending rallies as a support organization
we've done that.
for a particular point of view that may be coming out. So it's one of these we try to stay active within the communities. So this is kind of how we keep ourselves busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is how you are
Our retirement.
spending your retirement
Yes.
years, yes. So you mentioned that there are some events coming up this month. I know you're not going to be working all of them, but and the Pride event in Newport, I'll be there for that. And we'll be taking the Fall River event. Do you happen to know the date of that?
The
first, isn't it?
It's
June 1st.
June 1st, I believe it is. Yes.
All right. And then in Little Compton, I imagine.
We haven't heard from Little Compton yet, so we're not sure there.
Okay.
But
and where are you folks going to be during June?
In June, we've got we're going to be in Wickford. In the first of June, and then we're going to be down on the following week. We're going to be in Seekonk, And then we've got the following week after that is South Kingston, and that's just going to be in Wakefield. We'll be doing that, which leads us to the Providence event, which leads us to the Newport event.
Right.
And then the day after Newport, there is a wellness I've got it here. I've lost for the track where we're invited to the. I'm lost for where we're supposed to be now. At the police organization that invited
in
us.
Tiverton.
Tiverton, thank you. There we are, right in Tiverton. I'm sorry for mumbling through that.
I couldn't remember.
It's a lot to try to remember, especially if you don't have it all
That's why we have it written down.
Yeah, it's a calendar of events. In between there, we are also going down to Westerly. There's a showing of the movie film.
Yeah, of
Will
and Harper.
Harper, yeah.
Documentary about Will Ferrell and his friend Harper, who transitioned. Excellent documentary. But they're doing a special showing of it down in Westerly.
So we'll be busy for the month. Pretty much. I don't want to say we're fully booked. We've also got in other places. There's West Warwick.
Yes, West Warwick Pride Fest.
And that's on the same day on the 14th as South Kingston, so we'll be splitting our forces there.
And then we've got the 31st, we have the Trans Health Conference
and that's
at
in
Rhode
May.
Island College.
Oh, that's May 31st.
May 31st.
May 31st.
So,
May 31st.
So it's we have enough volunteers, as you know, that we can split our forces.
Right.
And I say that from it sounds a little militarily there, but we can attend several events on a given day because of the number of volunteers we have. And so there's been so many events, they start to piggyback on themselves.
Yes.
Because within the communities, and there's so many weekends of the month of June. But that gives you an example as to how it's grown in terms of this. Communities want to celebrate, and that's an exciting thing for us to experience because of. Again, a few years back, it was strictly Providence, and again Newport, to a degree, and that's again has grown. So it's an exciting month for us. Busy but exciting.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess June actually is the highlight month of the year.
Yes.
Even though it is a year-round process and program, June certainly is the month in which everything kind of comes to a head. We have a few minutes left. I'd love to hear a story that you may have of someone who needed help and found what they needed from PFLAG.
PFLAG? Well, generally speaking, what we within our meetings, it's what's said there stays there. So, without getting into specifics, it's something that we talked about already. It's the aspect of somebody coming into our meetings and or contacting us in some way, and really having concerns about how they can best support a loved one. And a lot often it's a child, and as in our experience when our daughter came out as trans, it was like right out of the blue. There was no we didn't anticipate anything, and that happens to a lot of people that'll contact us, and the scenario might be. 2 weeks ago, my child came out and told me, hypothetically, let's say they were trans, and I just don't know what to do.
Right.
And engaging with this person, either personally or through our support meetings, watching this person come in with high anxiety, and not knowing where this is leading to, and after the meeting being much more relieved. And that they were given support, direction to a degree. They know now that they're not alone in this journey, and they've identified and met people that were going exactly this, experiencing the same thing that they did at some point in time. And like I said, these connections continue after the meetings. They may exchange emails, contact information, so that they can kind of continue to support one another. And we've seen that time and time again. And people that have come to our meetings on a regular basis, that when they've started are very, again, concerned And by the time, a few months later, they're the person or the people that are giving support to others.
Right.
So you quickly see that turnaround in terms of what people are experiencing. And it's always been rewarding to kind of see that, from that perspective.
Just the relief of being able to tell somebody to how they're feeling just makes a big difference in, from when they first come to a meeting and then and they leave. The other thing we've done too is we've provided support over the telephone. We've occasionally met people individually if necessary. They weren't comfortable going to a meeting. This was prior to when we had the Zoom meetings, but we still offer that as something that we can do if necessary. Haven't really had that so much right now. We have had maybe some phone calls occasionally, but yeah. So the phone rings on our home phone.
It's a little awkward at times.
Yes, we say hello and they say, "Is this PFLAG?"
Yeah.
Because we don't have an office. We have no office. We have no separate phone line or anything like that. So we set up a Google phone line that rings on our personal phone, and then we have all of our supplies at our home.
Right. So.
Well, I have seen excuse me, I have seen those supplies.
Yeah.
And it does amaze me, Ron, you were talking about the literature and all of these pamphlets and brochures and the like that we can offer to people that seem to be so right on the nose as far as how to approach someone from your faith community, how to come out to someone from your faith community, how to come out to your grandparents, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Very specialized and informative literature.
Right.
And I know from the Pride events as well, we always have some giveaways, like our ally button here.
Yep.
And the great T-shirts that you're wearing. Those are not giveaways,
No.
I'm sure.
Yeah. We've been stocking up on buttons and ribbon pins and all kinds of other fun things to give out that are available that people can wear, and for example, the ally button to show that you're supportive of the community, and we've got some fun buttons. One that says "straight but not narrow," and another popular button is "I'm the rainbow sheep of the family." And,
Yes,
and that's always we have one of our board members manufactures those throughout the year, and it's the busiest time of the season now for them. But it's again part of the dedication that our membership supplies. Time and treasure in a sense, mostly time to support the community.
And just quickly, if I can add, the other thing we've gotten involved in is Alders Pride, which is a group set up by Aldersbridge Communities. They're a senior housing group in the state of Rhode Island. They have 3 senior housing communities in Woonsocket, Providence, and East Providence. And they decided they wanted to be certified by the HRC as being all-inclusive and accepting facility for seniors going into senior housing living, where sometimes they almost have to go into the closet again.
So that's a new, something new.
That's they invited us to be on this.
So more development still.
Right,
So
yes.
really this is something, stay tuned folks. But
Yeah.
we're out of time.
Yep.
Ron and Sandy, Richard, thank you so much for coming and speaking
for
to our
inviting us.
viewers about our
Yes.
program. And thank you all for joining us on Senior Soundings. We'll see you next time.